Hi, I'm Kelly Thomas. Welcome to Ingenious Baby. Every week I'll interview leading experts to help you help your child reach their full potential so that your child can become all that they were born to be.
Ingenious Baby.
Today we're here in the hills of West Marin with Evan Shively, one of the design industry's most sought-after wood artisans. He is responsible for creating a few of the world's greatest play structures, which is part art installation and part playground, made from massive fallen reclaimed eucalyptus. He'll give us a personal look at his work and tell us how we can apply his minimalism thinking to inspire our own children's free play and creativity at home. I'm thrilled to have you here today to be at the place where you have the inspiration for all of your children's log environments that you create. And can you tell us how you got into building your first structure for children?
Well, I had been doing quite a bit of work at Marin Country Mart, which was the first one that I did, first environment that I did for children, providing the wood and sort of helping guide some of the work in that environment.
Right.
And Jim Rosenfield, the owner, just was about to buy a play structure, just a usual swings and a this and a that for the center. And he just one day off the cuff asked, Evan, do you have an idea? Just before I write the check, do you have an idea for something that could be different? Something that was really sort of more in keeping with the values and aspirations and of Marin Country Mart and of the locale and the spirit of the thing. And as it happened, I did have an idea. And really the idea came from what it's about is that, so here in West Marin, I have a specialty sawmill, and our mission is to try to use the salvage logs that would otherwise be wasted from Northern California and really imagine how we could do the best with them. How we could exist in this sort of spirit of wonder and gratitude for these amazing plants. And trying to really do that means that we have to embrace a whole range of potential outcomes. What it comes down to is it's something that we always want to have a dual role. So one that is whimsical and interactive on one side, but also something that is very sort of just from a sculptural perspective, from a design perspective, is very striking. And if it can happen, if it plays on both channels, then that's what I think gives resonance to not just to kids, but also to the parents and to the design objectives of the project.
So that was your first one at Marin Country Mart. Was it just your sense of wonder that you created, or did you actually work with kids to see how they would interact with it, or what was the process that went into creating it?
No, I think I just went with the big kid thing. Like, this is cool. So,
yeah, it really is.
But you never know, of course, until you do one, right?
Right.
And so when we were installing it, and they have the orange snow fence all the way around, we couldn't even get the snow fence down, and there were already 30 kids on it. I'm like, okay, that worked.
It works.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah.
Didn't worry about that one.
I have personally experienced with my own children, like I think I mentioned earlier, it's such a beautiful structure, and I just thought it's beautiful, but I didn't think my kids would spend much time because it's so simple. But they spend hours, they meet new friends, they play really imaginative games, and it's fascinating. Can you tell us about your experience with the children interacting and what you've learned based on your observation of how they interact with your pieces?
Well, I think that part of it, of course, is the simplicity is the whole point. We live lives that there's so much doodad, so many bells and whistles, bright colors, et cetera, but that you don't really need the gimmicks. If you go down to the basis, the true root of what that wonder is and what we're doing and what play is. The other part is, as I think that all humans and kids can be especially connected to that, we have a different relationship to life than we do to inanimate or synthetic objects. It would be biophilia, the inherent draw and love of the living world. And so that, I think, draws them in and connects them to those pieces in a way that the same thing, if you'd imagine, if you did the same thing in blue plastic,
Right.
would they interact with the same way? And the answer is, of course not.
I feel like it really inspires them to kind of be like a community, I guess, when they're playing on your structure. Like they play hide and seek with people they don't know. They're like climbing together. They're helping each other in the little tunnel. There's so many things they do to play with each other. Did that come into play when you were designing this about how the kids would interact with this piece?
That's the whole goal, right? That joyous interaction and that sense of wonder. And I think that they do it more, or it becomes a part of it, when there isn't a clear roadmap. When they're discovering what they're putting their heads together to see how they could experience it. And it's not in a traditional playground. It has its separate parts. Everybody knows what you do on that part. Everybody knows what you do over here.
Exactly.
And instead, they're coming up with it together.
Yes, I love that that's what I love the most about it. I think it's just a really cool space. I'm wondering if someone could take some of your thinking at home and apply some of your principles in their own backyards. Is there any tips that you would have that would apply some of that same thinking?
I think so, in the sense that I think one is that it doesn't have to be elaborate. So it doesn't have to have a lot of moving parts.
Right.
But that it also incorporates this idea of sort of travel and adventure. You're around it, you can't be seen. You're under it, you're over it. You can craft a story of the journey or craft a scenario just from very, very simple components.
You've done another one recently at the Cove at Tiburon.
Yeah.
Tell us more. Is that your second play?
No,
area?
there are a couple others.
Okay, I'd love to
There's a park in San Mateo at the old Bay Meadows Fairgrounds that I did 3 pieces in. That's called Persimmon Park. And then also recently did an installation at Facebook on the roof of one of their new buildings.
Oh, very cool. And that's more for adults.
Actually,
Adult kids,
you
big
know
kids,
how
big kids.
you know how engineers are.
Oh, yes.
So,
That's
I think it's
awesome.
about the same audience.
Okay, and then so the one at Cove at Tiburon. What was tell us about the thought that went into that one?
The idea there was, rather than having multiple pieces, there was room for one. So there's an opportunity for contemplation, for sitting down on the benches, and that kind of thing. But also, what I wanted to talk about was that objects of a certain size, and trees in particular, they have a different quality. You experience them in a different way, in part because of their size. So they have a story that you can only take in by experiencing them, walking around and really interacting with them. I mean, it would be called narrative in a way, that because it's sort of the classic example of narrative is the blind man and the elephant, is that you can never grasp the whole thing. You know you have a trunk, you know you have a leg, you walk around the other side, it feels different. And that's the way a piece like the Cove works, because you can never take it in. You can only be part of its story. I wouldn't really say that I saw this sideline coming, but it's been a great joy, because I feel like I spend my time and I spend my working life trying to communicate the beauty and the sense of wonder and the sense of gratitude that I have for these things that are all around us. And there's nothing like getting them early, as they say.
Yes,
And to be able to sort of reach a different audience with that and share that has been an amazing experience.
I love that. Yeah, they're beautiful, they're gorgeous, and they're just so, like, they have a sense of wonder for children that just is, I think, such a beautiful combination. And so happy to be here to see everything in person and talk about your philosophy and thinking behind it. So
Thanks so much.
thank you. If you know someone who'd be a great fit for the show, come on over to ingeniousbaby.com and share your tips and story ideas. You are your baby's first and best teacher.